How do I get my husband and I on the same page? We discuss our parenting styles and we have meetings, but we still seem to be so different, especially when it comes to our 2-year-old daughter. She's the last in line of 3 and he spoils her.
Firstly, it's brilliant that you guys that they're already having family meetings. Often parents assume that it will just unfold how it's meant to, and like anything that you want to do well in life, to have a plan, to have a conversation, to have a meeting about it, is really putting you in the best position to have a great outcome. Even though they are having the meetings, it sounds like they're still very much coming from who they innately are, as in their own behavioural style. So who we are will reflect on every area of our life. So not only how we communicate, how we interact, but also how we parent. So if mum and dad are very different, and as we mentioned in one of the earlier questions, opposites do attract, so more than likely they are quite different. They're going to be parenting from very different places. So parenting is generally impacted in our experience from 2 things. Firstly, your behavioural style, and secondly, the environment that you grew up in or the way that you were parented. We will unconsciously replicate or model what our parents did with us. Have you ever had that moment where you say something, you're like, oh my goodness, that was my mother coming out?
Yeah.
So that's unconscious programming that's gone on. So they've both brought 2 different behavioural styles to the table, as well as 2 different upbringings to the table.
And they're also parenting a third.
Yeah, and now they're trying to put all of that onto their child. Yeah. So the philosophy that we very much have at Discover Parentmagic is understand who your child is. What is their innate behavioural style or their behavioural energy or personality, and parent back from them, because then you will always be on the same page. Instead of moving forward, it's really a backward process. So if your child is very fast-paced and say like a child like Autumn, you would parent that child differently. In regard to their 2-year-old, I think, who dad is spoiling, my first question is it spoiling, or is it dad connecting in his way with his daughter? And I totally appreciate this mum's point of view, and it absolutely may be spoiling. We connect in different ways according to our behavioural style as well. If he is spoiling her and there's behaviours or attitudes that are coming from the way that he's interacting with her, well then that absolutely needs to be addressed. The best way to most probably address that is to sit down and say, instead of saying, don't give her that or don't do that, to say, when you do this, she behaves like this. So if you give her all the lollies before bed, I then have a really hard time getting her to sleep for the next half an hour, and that makes my situation really difficult for these reasons. So actually talking it out with facts and evidence of how it's actually unfolding.
And the one thing about personality styles, it's not really concrete, it's not set until they're about 7, 8 years of age, but you'll generally have an idea of the temperament of the child from early on. You know, when you have your baby, there's either a fussy baby or an easygoing baby, sleeps well. So you get a general idea of their temperament.
Maybe dad is spoiling her to compensate for the fact that he's away all day, or you know, there's something else going on. So to have a conversation around that as well. For what purpose are you doing this, this and this? Because I don't understand it, and it's creating some conflict for me.
So our last question is, I hate yelling, but it seems like the only way I can get my message across. I don't want to be a yelly parent. Can you give me any tips to stop my bad behaviour?
Yeah, that's also an excellent question.
First thing though, all mums yell at some point or another. It's not a bad thing.
Guilty.
We need to be heard.
Yeah.
But when we hear ourselves too much, we think, okay, it's time to stop.
Absolutely, and it can sometimes become the norm because the children have been conditioned that they don't need to take action until mum yells. Okay. So good news is that's undoable. It just requires a little bit of consistency and extra calmness in those situations. So
the occasional glass of Chardonnay, 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes at like 3, 3:30. 4, I'm sure 4 o'clock's fine.
The fine art of negotiation comes into play here, and depending on the age of the children, if they're 4 or under, it is harder to implement some of these strategies. However, if they are a little bit older, to trade off what you want done with things that they want. Children are constantly making requests. Can I go to the park? Can I do this? Can I have a biscuit? So by using what they want in the process of getting what you want, it's quite a resourceful way of getting things done. And by sitting down with them and explaining to them, I know that I've been yelling a lot, I don't want to yell, and I really want your help to stop me doing this. So what I'm thinking that what we'll do is when I ask you to do something, I'm absolutely going to say yes to you. You just need to have done da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
And if you haven't done da-da-da-da, I'm not going to say yes. So it's also putting the choice and the responsibility back onto them.
You know, I'm always wanting the girls to clean their room, so it's at least tidy before they go to school in the morning. And they like to watch a little bit of TV before they go to school. So they'll come to me and say, can I watch TV until it's ready to go? And I'll say, what will my answer be, knowing that they needed to have cleaned their room before I grant them TV time. And quite often they go, oh, the answer's no. And I say, why is the answer no? Because we haven't done our room yet. Yeah. So no yelling is required in that sense.
Yeah.
Whereas
so it's like clean your room,
yes, I was doing that, and it doesn't feel good. I didn't like that. Or getting them out the door at a certain time. When you start to get anxious because you can see the clock moving around to the time that you need to depart, and all the things aren't done. I stopped yelling. Actually, I did the opposite. I started whispering.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And they would come closer and say, what did you say? And I'd start whispering. So it's actually flipping it on them. Instead of yelling, whispering, they think it's something very important. They come in and they hear what you've got to say. So it also just keeps it calmer in the mornings as well for me.
That's a really good strategy, scramble the whispering, and especially if they're littler. You know, if she's dealing with teenage boys, it's most probably not that effective. But with the little ones, as Deb was saying, it's fantastic, and it allows for a little bit of playfulness. So when they come in and you finally whisper it in their ear, you can hug them or touch them and make it a more positive and playful experience. Because the other thing too with parents who yell a lot, they're totally frazzled. It's a very unsustainable way of being, and so the playfulness is one of the first things that goes by the wayside, purely from an energy level.
And they're also modelling the behaviour of the house. So mum yells, then kids yell back too. And it continues.
I love that whispering.
Whispering's very cool.
And the first time you do it, they'll think, why is she whispering? Is it a secret? Because usually you whisper secrets, and they will come in and want to hear what you've got to say. Works true.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I have learned everything. I'm sure our listeners, our readers, our watchers have learnt many, many tips. Hopefully they had all their pens and papers badly scrambling it down, because I just can't wait to watch this again. So thank you so much for your time. We'll have all the information below this video.
Excellent.
All out. So
all right, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Rayne.
We'll see you hopefully again soon for another Writer's Rayne segment.
Thank you.
Have a good day. You too. Kids, you can come in now.